What are the optimal amounts of protein a diabetic would need to prevent age-related loss of muscle tissue? The latest research has finally revealed the uncomplicated truths, which you will learn about today. 1. Which key essential amino acid turns on or activates the muscle building process? Second, exactly how many grams of protein will you need as a diabetic per meal? And third, what superior types of protein repair and heal the body at much faster rates, ensuring one is free of complications and health issues. Welcome to the Resilient Diabetic. This is the channel we turn ordinary, struggling diabetics into extraordinary, well-controlled diabetics. If you're new to this channel, I welcome you. My name is Sampat. But please don't forget to subscribe and hit that gray notification bell. That way you'll be alerted when new life-changing episodes have been published. And if you've learned something new today, please smash that like button for me. As with all my videos, this should not be considered personal medical advice. This is my interpretation of the latest research. If you want medical advice, please always consult your physician. The number one correlation to longevity seems to be muscle mass and strength, because basically, the stronger you are, the more you can survive certain diseases. As diabetics, we already know skeletal muscle mass is the single most important tissue in our bodies when it comes to managing our insulin and blood glucose levels. It is also the most important thing to maintain in order to live that long, healthy, independent life free of complications. Protein is that main building block for your muscle tissues. Protein synthesis is the process of building new proteins. If muscle protein synthesis exceeds muscle protein breakdown, then your muscles are growing. If muscle protein breakdown exceeds muscle protein synthesis, then simply put, you're losing muscle mass. The idea that muscle protein breakdown is a bad thing and we should always try to completely prevent it is not necessarily true. Our muscles get damaged all the time from exercise, physical activity, through general metabolism via oxidative stress and or inflammation. So there is this continual remodeling of our muscle tissues. This important role of muscle breakdown allows the body to disassemble those damaged muscle proteins back into those building blocks or amino acids and then recycle them into newer, stronger, functional muscle tissue. In the episode, Muscle is the Secret to Longevity, which I will happily put in the description box below if you missed that episode, we discussed one important new term that is revolutionizing how science not only sees aging, but one of the real causes of metabolic syndrome, one of which is related to obesity and diabetes. It's called sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is that fancy word for age-related loss of muscle mass. And when does that process of muscle loss begin? When we are in our 30s and 40s. Muscle protein synthesis and muscle protein breakdown rates are highly influenced by two major factors. First is physical activity, and the second, our food intake. Here's what we know now. Exercise, especially resistance or weight training, elevates protein synthesis for 24 hours or longer. So, the right types of proteins given to your body post-exercise will be used to rebuild those damaged, sore muscles into stronger, functional ones. When it comes to food intake, protein consumption does increase muscle protein synthesis for around 3 to 6 hours after you've eaten. The nutritional science of protein is evolving at a rapid rate. thanks to new sophisticated technology in tracing and biopsies. So what has come to light? Protein sources differ in their capacity to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. The main properties that determine the anabolic effect of protein is first, the digestion rate. In other words, how fast does it get into your system? This is best illustrated by a study which compared the muscle protein synthesis response to casein, hydrolyzed casein, and whey protein. Casein is a slowly digesting protein. When intact casein is hydrolyzed, in other words, it's chemically cut into smaller pieces, it resembles fast digesting protein. Consequently, hydrolyzed whey results in even higher muscle protein synthesis rates than intact casein. The second way protein sources differ in their capacity to stimulate muscle protein synthesis is the amino acid composition. In order to understand that key point, let's take a step back and rediscover what proteins really are. Amino acids are the singular structure units that make up a protein. Just like a Lego house is made up of individual bricks, proteins are made up of lots of tiny building blocks. In the human body, you can think of these building blocks as amino acids. Every time you eat a protein-based food, the body through digestion will completely break apart that whole food into those singular amino acids, which are then absorbed into the bloodstream. When the body needs to build or repair structure, it then takes those floating amino acids and then connects them into long chains. These chains of amino acids can then fold into different types of shapes. Some chains will fold into spirals. Other chains make zigzag sheets and loops. Combining these spirals, sheets, and loops is how the three-dimensional shape of protein is made in the body. The human body uses 21 different size and shape amino acids to make all the proteins it needs to function and grow. Because these amino acids can be arranged in many different combinations, it's possible for your body to make thousands of different kinds of proteins from just those same 21 amino acids. You may hear or be taught there are 20 amino acids. Even I mentioned that in a previous episode. Things are changing that rapidly. And because you are subscribed to the Resilient Diabetic, you get this before everyone else. The 21st one was discovered pretty recently, and not all the textbooks have caught up yet. The really cool thing about Lego bricks, they can be taken apart to build something completely different. In the exact same way, your body can take apart the amino acid building blocks that make up one protein to make something needed or to renew something else. But then we have to ask this question, where do these amino acids come from? Your cells can make most of the amino acid it needs from other molecules in the body, but 9 of those amino acids it cannot make on its own. So you have to get these from the foods you eat. They are known as the essential amino acids. Otherwise, it would be like a Lego set missing 9 different kinds of bricks to be complete. There are certain things you cannot build without those missing building blocks. Of all the essential amino acids, there is one that is especially potent at stimulating muscle protein synthesis. It's called leucine. However, it's not necessarily the amount of leucine in a protein source or meal that is important. What really matters are the levels of leucine that reach your bloodstream. So, we eat protein to provide those amino acids as building blocks for muscle. And because eating protein produces a plasma leucine peak, that specific amino acid is what actually triggers the muscle protein synthesis. It signals the body to start putting all the necessary building blocks together. In this one landmark study, when one group that only got protein, some of that protein was incorporated into muscle tissue. But when supplemented leucine was added to the protein, more of those amino acids from the protein were incorporated into muscle than other tissues. This suggests it's not the available building blocks, but the leucine trigger function that is the limiting factor for muscle protein synthesis response. Animal-based protein sources are far, far superior than plant protein to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. Plant-based proteins are generally inferior due to their lower digestibility, lower essential amino acid content, especially leucine, and a deficiency in other essential amino acids such as the sulfur amino acid, lysine. Simply put, the cell structure of plants are different from the cell structure of animals. Think those missing Lego blocks. Now for the million-dollar question. How much protein do you need? The current recommended dietary allowance, also known as the RDA for protein, is a very modest 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. The RDA is outdated and flawed because it used a very old method to determine the amount of nutrients you would need to meet your basic nutritional requirements. In a sense, it is the minimum amount you need to keep from getting sick, not the specific amount you're supposed to eat every single day. And this is what has radically changed. They know as little as 5 grams of protein can stimulate small amounts of muscle protein synthesis. But according to all the latest research, 20 grams of protein per meal gives a near maximal increase in muscle protein synthesis. This is now referred to as the optimal amount per meal. However, further increasing protein from say 20 to 40 grams appears to give relatively small, around a 10 to 20% further increase in muscle protein synthesis. That would make a difference for, say, a very competitive athlete and or bodybuilders, but not for most. In addition, we have to account for the anabolic resistance in the elderly. Because anabolic hormones and insulin sensitivity is diminishing, physical activity and blood flow has been curtailed, so they need more protein to get the same increase in muscle protein synthesis compared to younger adults. As you age, you need more high quality protein to optimally stimulate muscle protein synthesis, not less. So now that we know the optimal amount per meal, let's talk about another very important term called protein distribution. An even balance of protein intake at breakfast, lunch, and dinner stimulates muscle protein synthesis more effectively than eating the majority of daily protein during the evening meal, which is the heaviest meal for most of us here in the United States. So, getting all of your protein in one meal or shake is not ideal. And the big bomb drop. Bodybuilders have been right this whole time. This study also conclusively shows providing 20 grams of protein every 3 hours stimulates muscle protein synthesis more than providing the same amount of protein in less regular doses. We should understand all these studies done on protein were on non-diabetic subjects. How would you then put this all together to optimize protein synthesis? Your general guidelines are as follows. 1. Try to eat 3 to 4 low-carb meals spread throughout the day. Breakfast, lunch, and if you're exercising, especially weight training, you would want to leverage that post-workout shake. And then dinner. Try to eat at least 20 grams of protein at each meal. Third, and this is critical, choose lean. I'll repeat that. Lean animal proteins as your major form. Food protein quality as assessed by digestibility, net protein utilization, and biological value has been shown far better for animal-based protein sources like meat, eggs, milk, and its constituents than for plant-based protein sources like raw cereals and legumes. I would also add, the best choice for a supplement would be a good, no-carb whey protein isolate. Fourth, it's important to note, insulin inhibits muscle protein breakdown. Remember, insulin is the master storage hormone. It is released, or in my case, must be taken if protein is consumed. Insulin's major role is to signal fat cells to store fat, for muscle cells to store not only glucose, but it allows those amino acids into the cell to be assembled. But what is revolutionary? We know only small amounts of insulin is needed for maximal effect. For example, a protein shake alone increases enough insulin in non-diabetics to maximally inhibit muscle protein breakdown. You don't need additional carbohydrates. I cannot emphasize this enough for us diabetics. The low carb approach, maintaining blood sugars in that non-diabetic range, is critical. As an insulin-dependent diabetic, my meals are based around a good, solid source of lean animal proteins, mainly lean cuts of beef, chicken breast, eggs, fish, and turkey, along with above ground, non-starchy, brightly colored, and green leafy vegetables at every meal. In order for me to train incredibly hard 6 days a week and look like this year round, managing insulin is the key. I need nutrient-dense foods that require small amounts of insulin. Nutrient-dense means low in carbs and calories, but extremely high in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. A really important point: when you do increase your protein requirements and simultaneously lower your carbohydrate intake, your body will begin to change and change rapidly. So you will need to consult your doctor in on this immediately, because it will affect your blood sugars and your medication requirements. All the way from your blood pressure to your diabetic needs. They will have to be adjusted and adjusted down. And for some of you, especially you lucky type 2 diabetics, to no more medications needed at all. And that is a beautiful thing. The question many of you may be asking: does excessive protein cause kidney damage, and how does it affect blood sugars? So, I will set up a playlist with you with more videos on protein. You will be exposed to the deceit, the misunderstandings doctors and nutritionists are taught to this very day. You will also know the story and the initial contrived study behind all the fear-mongering on this critical macronutrient. Protein, as you'll come to find out, is the single most important nutrient for us diabetics to consume for the greatest possible health outcome. If you're on your desktop or laptop, I want you to use the mouse to click this upcoming box. If you're on your mobile device, I want you to tap that with your fingers. The first is the link to subscribe to this all-important channel. The second is on the playlist on proteins. So, have a great and productive day, and we will see you soon with another new episode, which are generally released weekly. Bye for now.